Hey everybody, it's Shap. I am super excited to have an amazing guest, an author, a speaker, somebody who is going to share so much good information with us today. He is Gordon Brodecki. Did I say that right, Gordon?
You said it perfectly fine. You got it. You nailed it.
So Gordon has been in the fitness industry, the wellness field, I believe 25 plus years. He has so much experience. And we've talked, Gordon and I have talked a little bit. And when we decided to go on each other's podcast, it was kind of like, man, this is going to be so good for our audience. People are going to learn so much. Obviously, number one thing is ask questions. When you see the podcast, make a comment, ask a question. If you're not sure of something, throw it out to us. We'll get back to you because obviously it's all about being educated, learning, and being better. That's what we're always about. Gordon, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it today, man. We talked last time. It was just a effortless conversation, and we are both in the health and fitness industry. And it's pretty much a no-brainer.
Yes. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and you can start out with any topic you want to talk about.
Well, let's go back to where you said I've been in the health and fitness industry for 25 years, helped transform lives. It's not about the process, about the transformation. Of course, I wrote a book you mentioned, Unleash Ultimate You, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Body, best-selling author. I started publicly speaking about 6 years ago, and I just really been doing this thing for I feel like forever, but at the same time it's always brand new in some sense, right? Because things keep changing, especially in the health and fitness industry.
Oh,
Right now, the big thing is peptides. You hear a lot about peptides. That's a big topic. The science behind working out. Hear a lot about like what exercise work. Is it full range of motion? Is it partial reps? Is it things like that? So there's so many topics. Like you said, pick a topic. I mean, I literally can just ramble on, but I think I would like for you to ask me something that you think you want to pick my brain about.
okay. So I love the intro. So here's I guess the most basic thing that I would ask you when I deal with clients, I always am getting this question. How do I first of all get started, and how do I overcome hurdles when they happen?
How do you get started? That's very, very easy. And that is just getting your foot in the door.
Right.
There's a good book I read a while ago called Atomic Habits.
Yep.
James Clear,
Yep.
right? James Clear is great. I loved his book. I wrote a book that is very similar in a lot of ways because my experiences were built through habits. And it was a small little micro changes that you make. So just getting your foot in the door is one of the best ways that you can start a habit. And you don't even have to even really do anything. You just got to show up. And doing that consistently first is one of the best ways. And there's a lot more small little segues that you could do, how you build a habit. I literally just talked about this today in a presentation, and it was you can't just get rid of a habit. Trying to get rid of a habit fills a void. And when you have a void, what you do is you usually go back to that. So what I like to do is replace the habit with something that is like you can call it an adventure. If you ever listen to Jordan Peterson, he's like, you just can't get rid of something. You gotta have an adventure. I mean, if you want to call it that, you can. But you can make it as simple as I am not going to eat junk food. I'm not going to keep it in my house anymore. That's the number one thing, out of sight, out of mind. And then you replace it with something in mind. So that could be something that's more healthy and a more healthier option.
I get that, and that's I've read Atomic Habits. It's a great book, and they actually talk about that, out of sight, out of mind. My question, following up on that, is obviously if it was that easy, more people would be doing it. But getting started, like obviously getting into, I was literally talking to a client today, and I was saying to them, "You just took the biggest first step," and they were like, "What's that?" I said, "You're here.
Yeah.
You're here."
Well,
But
we're not robots. So the concept is easy, right?
exactly.
But we have emotions. We're built of emotions. And I wouldn't even go as far as say as like emotionally regulating yourself is really good to do too. Checks and balances, being aware of your emotion, to understand there's gonna be days that you don't want to do it. There's gonna be
Yep.
days that you don't feel like doing. Like today, I took a nap, and I know today's leg day, and for whatever reason, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And, doing it in spice a face of fear, doubt, and when you're just you're at on a low, and unless you have an injury, unless there's something going on in your life that's like out of your control, you you want to make time for something, even if it's a half an hour, even if you only can do 15 minutes. I think that's what people lose sight on. They think they like I need the perfect routine, but it's not. That's not it. It's not about the perfect routine. It's about doing a routine, and sometimes maybe you skip a set. Sometimes maybe you add a set. Maybe you take an exercise away. You can go by feel too. So that's one thing I like to do when I'm training myself and my clients, because I always ask questions like you do, like you're talking to a client. How do you feel today? What do you really? We're going to work on this, but if this isn't really something you want to work on, is there something you really want to touch base on? That way, it keeps them interested, keeps them coming back, and keeps them wanting more.
I love that too, and it's funny. You said something I think is critical for people. So many times. So I have been me myself. I've been training since I've been 13. So I'm 60 years old. I've been training for 47 years. In that time, I always say to people, it's not like every workout's great. It's not like every workout I enjoy. Sometimes, Gordon, I love that you said this, because sometimes when people see people in the fitness industry like us, and they think, man, they must love going to the gym every moment. That's bull. That's a bunch of bull. Sometimes it's not great. Sometimes you're tired. Sometimes you're stressed. Sometimes you have stuff in your life that happens. But what you did, and I think it's important, is you mentioned that because it's this understanding of like sometimes it's going to be tough. Sometimes you're not going to want to do it. And that goes back to the habits that you just mentioned, like building those habits consistently. It doesn't mean every single day is great. Like perfect example for you. I log all my workouts. So every workout I do, I have a log. I don't just wing it. So yesterday, I had a leg day yesterday. I squatted. I did walking lunges. I did RDLs. And if people don't know what some of them are, I apologize. We can talk about that maybe in another podcast. But bottom line is, at the end of my workout, there were two things I was supposed to do. I was supposed to do a sled, and I was going to do core. But my time was really limited. It just took longer. I was with people longer than I expected, and I cut them out. So in my logbook, I put an X through them. And again, I don't feel bad about that. It just happened.
Right.
Like,
Right. There's sometimes where I have a day scheduled, and if I'm really just I'm gonna do legs once a week, right? I have it like I do that split. I used to do full bodies. I did like every routine. I used to create my own routines. I bet you did the same thing.
yes.
I mean, like if you've been in it long enough, you start creating your own stuff like a wizard. So I created a lot of my own routines that worked for me, and this one works really well because I do 3 days a week right now, and it's not about how many days a week; it's about consistency, as we talked about. So if you're doing it long enough, 3 days a week is going to do wonders for you. Look at Dorian Yates, the professional bodybuilder. I think he was six-time Mr. Olympia, and he literally worked out 4 days a week, and he even recommends like 3 days a week. And this is coming from somebody who one of the biggest guys I've ever seen race the stage. I'm not saying he's the only way. I'm saying it is a way
Mm.
that if you think you don't have enough time, this allows you to like go, you know what, I can dedicate 45 minutes 3 times a week to this. This is something a normal person can do, right? If I can watch TV for 2 or 3 hours a day, I sure as hell can go work out. Hey, do you know what the average person spends behind the screen right now today? I can
Oh,
look this stat.
I don't.
All right, so this will blow your mind. A couple of years ago, I remember doing this stat, and it was some between 4.5 to like 6 hours. It is now currently up to 7 to 8 hours a day behind the screen, and it includes the computer, scrolling, and TV. Right? Everybody here has doom scrolled at one point. I'm sure of it.
Mm.
Right? We're not susceptible to it. And my biggest fear is that the younger generation doesn't even know what it's like to not to have a phone, or what it's like not to have social media, what it's not like to scroll. So there's a constant influx of dopamine now. Even if you don't know what that is, it's a neurotransmitter for your audience. I mean, if you know what it is, basically what's happening is we got a finite amount of it usable, and we're literally zapping ourselves. And that's the unnatural way of releasing it. The natural way of releasing it, that hormone, and that's what gets you up to do what you move into a business or working out, is working out. The thing that you're trying to avoid is what's going to help that out and decreasing the amount of time behind the screen.
I love, again, some great points. So you just said something that I say to people all the time, clients all the time, teaching. There is not one way. Like, and this is one of my problems with the fitness industry. Like I said, I'm 60. The number of times I've read or watched something where it says, if you're over 50, don't do this. We talked about that. That is the biggest bunch of bull ever, ever. And it's clickbait. There is no exact way. So you said you're training 3 days a week, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my comment to people is, people will ask me, like, how many days a week should I train? And I always will say to them, well, first of all, how much time do you have? What are your goals? What are you looking to achieve? Like, there is not one right way. Me personally, I've trained I've trained 7 days a week, and I've trained 3 days a week. And everywhere in between.
Right.
And
Exactly.
there's no perfect way, and sometimes it changes. When I was younger, when I was in my 20s, I was training every day.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I did 6 days a week, 3 times a day.
Every single day.
Yeah.
At my age right now, there's no way I could recover and be productive if I was doing it, especially if it was a quality session. And again, to the audience watching, I believe, and you can chime in, Gordon, obviously, I believe there are many right ways to do things, but I also believe there are many wrong ways to do things. It's not just one thing. Like, if somebody says to me, you know what, Shap, I really, really hate squatting. It's not comfortable for me. The worst thing I could do is force them to squat.
Oh yeah.
That'd be the worst thing. Why would I do that? Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't, let's say, hey, see what their ability levels are and give them some options, but wellness should be something that we enjoy most of the time. Most
I
of the
agree
time.
with that. And that's people ask me how to, like, working out's not really my thing. I don't even ask you, just tell me. Like working out is not really my thing. I said, well, you better make it your thing. And the reason I say that, like, yeah, like, we can sit there and tiptoe around it. The matter of fact is, it helps out with longevity.
Oh,
It's been proven at this point. Strength training, and actually even leg strength, has shown the studies have shown that it helps you live longer, and eating right too. A great stat I heard, I think it was like, I forget exactly who said it, and I read the study, but those who work out and say they're the same age as you, 60 years old, and those who don't work out, and even if that person, even if you were a smoker and a drinker, by the way, if you worked out, and that person didn't smoke, didn't drink, but didn't work out, you still have a better chance to live longer because you are working out,
oh my God.
even if you're the smoker or drinker. That's
And
the
it's,
insanity of it. People don't even understand how powerful lifting a weight up and walking, moving, hiking, jumping, running it is to your life. And pick
well,
any of those. It doesn't have to be one, and maybe none of those are fit for your life. Maybe it's boxing, right?
I think the difficult thing, though, Gordon, is that I do think that most people understand that exercise is good, right? I
Yeah,
mean, I think that most people understand that they probably should try to eat healthy.
correct.
Most people. I think, and where I go back and forth so many times with people is understanding that, yes, you know that you should be moving. Like, you know that movement is critical for longevity. You know that eating healthy is. You know that lower stress is. We know those things. But I'm going to come back to you again and ask you, is how do we help people to get to the level where they're doing it consistently and enjoying it? Because guess what? You've been doing this most of your life. This is a lifestyle for you. This is what you do. It's the same thing for me. But when I have a client come to me who's never done it, overweight, has never really exercised, has not really eaten healthy, they know that movement's important. They know that eating well is important, but they have struggled for years and years and years. How do we help these people so it doesn't seem, this is a great question. How do we help the people so it doesn't seem so daunting?
That's a great question, and the best answer I give you for that is it we can guide people. You and I can guide people, but we can't make people do anything, right? It's got to be their decision. This and they got to want it on some type of level where it's going to be. They got to. Here's my answer to that question. You gotta transform their belief and understanding that this now is a new belief system. This is a new way of life and a new way of living. And it's not something that you're going to do. You're not just going to go on a diet. You're not just going to go to the gym. You're now making it part of your of your lifestyle. It's got to fit into your schedule. In a Google Calendar, right? Here's a great way. Schedule your appointments out. Schedule your workouts out. Look at the schedule. Write it down. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow at this time. Talk to somebody about it. Have an accountability partner. These are all little tricks and tips I can give you. And back to the beginning again, full circle. If you don't want it on some type of level, you're not going to do it. You're just not. It's just like anything in life. I've hired coaches, a great example of something outside of fitness, and I went for business coaches, and I'm like, and then the business was the business model was like cool, and they gave me the ideas, and I'm like, as I'm doing, I'm like, I stopped going on the calls. I didn't really want to do that business anymore. That's something I didn't really want to do. I still wanted to do my business, but I didn't want to do that. So same thing with working out. Maybe it's not this workout, the type of workout you like. Maybe CrossFit, you like CrossFit. Maybe you can't stand CrossFit. Maybe you like swimming. Maybe you can't stand it. Maybe you like bands. Maybe whatever you like, you got to figure it out. And that's the secret sauce. You just like keep figuring it out. Keep working on it till it circles on into a little spot.
Love it. I'll follow up with that. I always say to people that, so this is kind of for everybody watching and listening. My history is I was a wrestler in high school. I was a sprinter in high school. When I graduated and I went to college, I got involved in, I was always been lifting. So I've always been picking up weights. So I'll preface it by saying that. But I started getting involved in running and biking and racquetball. So I was doing a lot of that. And I enjoyed all of those things. There were none of those things I didn't enjoy, but my love was always about picking up weights, which it still is. And Gordon, you touched on something that I think is really critical for the audience to remember. You pick up weights, correct?
You're correct. Yes,
So do I. Do you like doing it?
I do enjoy it. I do
Okay,
enjoy it.
so do I. I would never tell somebody or force them to do something they didn't want to do. Now, I would strongly recommend that picking up weights in some form is incredibly beneficial, and I think that's something that if you can do it, you should do it as much as possible. But you have to find something that you really enjoy doing. So I love to walk. I love walking. I really don't do it necessarily for exercise, but it is exercise. So when Gordon just mentioned doing different things, I really hope that you really get that because wellness and fitness, however you want to blend them together, it's like food. If you hate broccoli, and I say to you, man, Gordon, you got to eat broccoli, but you hate broccoli. Guess what? You're not going to stick with eating broccoli.
Right, right.
It has to be something. I eat the same foods almost every single day. Almost.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you a story. I have a really good like. I don't. It takes a lot for me to like gag if I'm like drinking something. I can back in the day. Drank the worst protein shakes. Everybody today, you guys got it easy. Protein shakes are like milkshakes. My God, I was drinking cardboard to the point where I used to put Burge yeast in my protein shakes that was supposed to be good. And my mom read it somewhere, and she like I was younger. I was in my teens at the time. I was getting into bodybuilding around 16. I was really taking off, and I'm making this one. I put it in the refrigerator, but then it would coagulate and get like
It sounds like metrics.
oh my God! I literally we gag going down. I still to this day, it's the only thing that ever makes me feel that way. and I try to force myself to drink this thing. I mean, I did it for a while. I got to give myself a round of applause, but it was disgusting, and it's still disgusting. I'll never do that again. So it was something I would never do again. I hated it. I hated it. So now it's now like we're so lucky, by the way. This generation, I'm lucky too because I get to enjoy it too. But the protein shakes, I just make one, or I grab one out of the fridge, or mix it with a banana, and I'm ready to rock and roll. That's a meal for me, right? So it you just gotta find what you really like, and if you don't like it, then don't do it. That's as simple as that. It's a real simple concept. But there's still working out and eating right. You gotta make a change if you want a better life. If you want to live longer, you can't fear people into doing change, making change. By the way, you can't like give all these statistics because they're out there already, and people still don't care enough to go and do what they have to do. The statistics are already there, but they don't. It doesn't matter to them. There's got to be something. I'm gonna go as far as say something life changing in their life,
Mhm.
and I see it a lot: divorce,
Yep.
breakups, death in a family, uh, existential crisis. Maybe there is a real scare, like you go to the hospital and the doctor tells you you're going to die, or that could change it. So, but they're the things that cause real change. It takes you to get to that point to really change. Sometimes, not always, but a lot of the time.
And I think that's true. I think about clients that I see and that I talk to, and some of them are very highly motivated, just because they want to see physical change. But I also have clients where I tell you what, like they're like, I'm really scared about how I feel, like physically.
Yeah,
Like I have trouble walking. I have trouble going up the steps. And my first comment to them was, I'm so proud of you for recognizing that, because it's never too late to make change. You can always make change, but the first thing you have to do is you have to recognize, notice, you have to recognize there's a problem. Like if you're having trouble doing basic life necessities, you know, taking out the trash, standing up, walking, and you're getting out of breath or you have a problem, it is time to make change. And the change does not need to be it doesn't need to be daunting. That's something else we can kind of talk about a little bit too. Is I find that when I'm working with people, they feel like everything needs to be spot on and they need to do everything 100% right away. And I always tell them that, that's really the opposite of what you want. And I know we hear, this person lost 300 pounds and look at them now. And I always say to them, that's an outlier. That is not the normal person. And you see that because it looks sexy, it looks good. But in reality, that's not what is normal. Normal is having a plan, like you said, scheduling it, writing it down, and being able to consistently. I'll give everybody a perfect example. The podcast Gordon and I are doing right now, we scheduled it. This wasn't on a whim. We had it scheduled. I'm going to be on his podcast. It's scheduled. Making those plans when it comes to your wellness is so important because it holds you accountable. And I personally find that's incredibly critical.
yeah. There's got to be some type of passion there for whatever that is, and something you're proud of when you're doing it,
Hmm.
when you're working out. You got to be proud of. Like, you've made, and you're right. It's I think what happens is a lot of time when people start something new, it's real exciting. How many times have we started something that's super exciting? Like I did mixed martial arts, my first everything like boxing, and you do these things. You're like, oh, this is so fun. It's brand new. I love it. And then it becomes mundane, and you got
Right.
to get over that curve where it's not fun, and then it starts becoming fun again. And I remember somebody explaining this was a pianist, and he said at the beginning it's real fun, right? You're gonna like get down, you're gonna play. I have a guitar, same thing, and then you're gonna get to the point where it's like not fun right now, and then all of a sudden you start getting good at it, like really good at it, and then it becomes fun again,
Hmm.
right? And I made that the same way in the beginning, but it's like this different type of like because now you're in the pocket, you're in the zone, right? You're on fire now, and that'll take you if you can capture that fire and just continue on doing that even through hard times, and understand that habit is really what you have to instill because that's what we're built upon. Habits, good or bad, Your brain doesn't know the difference, by the way. What we run off of is default system. 95% of what we do is a subconscious mind. That's what we run off of.
Mhm.
So how do we do that? You got to create a habit that then becomes a planet into your head, becomes a habit loop that you do, and then working out is one of them. Working out is one of the few things, by the way, that you can do to improve your health. I can go down about eating, and we can go into mindset. But I want to actually go a little different direction. I think it's would be a cool talk. So we talked about the people that are just beginning and really have a hard time getting into it. We know they're out there.
Mhm.
And how about for the people that are in it and they want to know some really good tips and they want to understand how to get like maybe more muscle or maybe more endurance. I specialize in I would say muscle building because I was a bodybuilder. I was also a powerlifter, and I specialize in that area. And what I did with my clients is I put them on programs that would, like you said, they could utilize and fit in their lifestyle. And I like not that I'm interviewing you, but I want to have a conversation about it, right? What do you think is like one of the best exercises and routines to build? Like, say somebody wants to wants to get on stage someday, a bodybuilder. For the guy out there or that young man or the young woman who wants to be a fitness competitor, what are some of the best exercises for your quads and your glutes?
Well, first of all, I would say that um, to me, there's a million different programs to follow, and again, it's really, and I don't want to make this into a super long response. And if I start going too long, just tell me, because it's a very interesting question. I have followed hundreds of programs myself. Many I've made my own, many I've read. I've done just about everything there is to think of, and I'm going to cover a couple parts first. First of all, best exercise, there is none. There is no best exercise. The best exercise is one you're going to do consistently and you're going to enjoy. So I personally love squatting.
Yeah.
I love squatting. I literally squatted yesterday. Why do I love squatting? Well, first of all, I'm good at it. That's check. Secondly, I can do it comfortably. Check. Third, I know it works. It's an amazing, not just lower body, it's an amazing full body developer. Now, is squatting going to develop your pecs? Of course not. I mean, that'd be silly. But what it is going to do, it has a huge hypertrophy effect on your body. Just think about what's happening in a squat. You are moving from an up position to a down position with weight and going up again. There is so much that is involved in that is beneficial. So squatting, definitely. I personally love walking lunges. I love Bulgarian split squats. But again, most of the stuff that I love doing, and I'm going to go back to this, is not machine based. So a squat is not a machine. A walking lunge is not a machine. A Bulgarian split squat is not a machine. They're all with free weights. Let me follow it up by saying, if somebody said to me, hey, I want to compete, can I get away without squatting? 1000%. You don't need to squat to compete. You could do a hack squat. You could do a belt squat. Um, you could do a leg press. There's just so many different machines that you can use that are going to be beneficial. And it is not about what the one best exercise is, because that's so faulty. We hear that, but it's not true. It is what is the best exercise for you that you are going to do consistently, pain free, and have progressive overload. If you don't, people don't. I learned this as a teacher. I'm never going to assume somebody knows something. Progressive overload just simply means an increase in weight, reps, sets, or volume. Sometimes all of them, sometimes one of them.
Yeah. Squat. So just so the audience understands, when you say squat, you're not saying all the because there's hack squat, this squat. You're talking barbell squat, right?
Yes.
Yeah, barbell squat. So you
Yep.
don't need just the barbell squat. So barbell squats are awesome, by the way. I used to do them all the time. I powerlifted. The problem was I started getting injuries
Mhm.
and from sports and then overuse injury, whatever it might be, that caused those injuries over time. And I had to come up with a different way. And I was with Dorian Yates. Go back to Dorian Yates. He had actually some hip problems when he used to squat all the time. And they told him like you have to squat. That's what Lee Priest said. That's what the Quad Father said. You name the person that you have to do some squats. Um, and he took the approach and he says, "No, I'm going to try it differently." So we did hack squats, like you said. He did leg press and leg extensions and lying leg curl, and I think that did deadlifts too. But his freaking legs were enormous. So to say that you just need barbell squats, no, but they are a great foundation, though. I'll tell you that. That's what I built my foundation on, and learning how to do them properly. If I would have see the information about now is so cool because I learned a whole way of squatting now, and I teach people how to do it. And I utilize it. I squat, but it's where I do goblet squats, right?
Yep.
But I fatigue my muscles prior to that. So what I do is I do pre-exhaustion fatigue exercises. I'll do a higher rep single leg press or double leg, depending. And then I'll move on to like a goblet squat or leg extension to pre-exhaust even more, single leg or double leg, and then goblet squats. And then I try to keep the weight fairly heavy. You know what I've been doing that's really cool? I've been using a wedge. I really like that. I wasn't sure I was going to like that, but the wedges are awesome. I get so deep on them, and I don't like hack squats, and I'll tell you why. I feel like it still compresses the spine. But that's me, right? That's my structure, my body, and I feel puts like a lot of pressure on the knees. So I feel like with free weights, what's cool about free weights is you move to your space, your natural. Same thing with the Smith machine. I like a Smith machine, but it's not as natural as a bar or dumbbells.
Can I chime in for a sec?
Yeah.
I want to mention something to everybody. And listening to Gordon, this is kind of something that's tough. When you're talking to somebody who has a lot of fitness knowledge, they'll say things and like, so he just talked about a wedge. I guarantee half the people watching this don't even know what the heck he's talking about. So a wedge is basically something that sometimes people with ankle mobility issues, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but I think I know where you're going with this. A wedge is just something that you're putting your heels up, and it helps you to get much deeper if you're doing like a goblet squat or a regular squat, because it just increases your range of motion. It can be very, very effective. I squat with squat shoes, which is like a mini wedge on my shoe. And so I want to make sure, first, I want to make sure everybody gets that. I also want to make sure that everybody understands pre-exhaustion. Pre-exhaustion is basically the principle where you are exhausting. So when somebody squats, there are limiting factors to how much somebody's going to squat. Sometimes it's not the quad. Sometimes it could be a lower back issue. Sometimes it could be a glute issue where their quads are still able to do more, but they can't because other muscles have exhausted first. Pre-exhaustion just simply means that if I get on a leg extension and hit a leg extension really hard, it's a quad movement. That's what it is. It's nothing else. So it's going to exhaust my quad. So when I go to a goblet squat or I go to another quad movement, my legs are already going to be tired. So the limiting factor of that squat, whatever it is going to be my quads. It's not going to be my low back. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands it, because anytime we're talking, I want to make sure nobody's confused.
Yeah, it's a great explanation. And well, I'm going to piggyback on that. When you're doing this pre-exhaustion, say you have a lower back injury. Say there's something wrong with maybe your knees are not bad, but they're whatever. You warm them up a little bit. So when you pre-exhaust the muscle, that your lower back is strong enough, but your legs are getting tired. And the wedge thing is a great concept. What the reason I really like using that, because it keeps my spine erected more, right?
Yep.
And it also it gives you freer range of motion, and the stomach doesn't get in the way. That's another thing. Not that I have a stomach, but it doesn't get in the way as much. And you can go deeper. I would say practice your body weight at first if you ever never used it before. I've done this with everything I've started. So nobody needs to go, oh, I need to put a weight on this or whatever. When I used to do front squats, it's putting the bar across your shoulders in the front.
Yep.
And I could squat over X amount of weight, whatever weight it was. I started out with just a bar because I wanted to learn how to do it. And eventually I got to doing like 275 for like 6 or 8 reps with back then. We're not no more of that. But back then I learned how to do it and I worked my way up. But it took me a long time to get to that weight, right? So you got to just practice first, application, and then move up in volume or weight, whatever that might be.
Yeah. Well, again, actually, we didn't even talk about this. which is a great segue. Whenever I'm teaching something, so again, I was a teacher of fitness for 36 years, teaching high school students fitness, and I would always say to them, "Stop worrying about the freaking weight. The weight will come. Master your technique. Get your technique down in all of your movements, and your body will adjust immediately." And my first response to people is this: if you have never picked up a weight, go to a bench and pick up the bar. Make sure there's a spotter there because you've never done it. Pick up the bar. I guarantee I know what will happen. The bar is going to move. It's going to shake like crazy. It's not because you're not strong enough to do it. I mean, it could be, but generally not. It's because your muscles have never gotten accustomed to picking up the bar. Your stabilizer muscles in your shoulders, your triceps, they have not gotten used to it. Do that for a couple weeks, and I guarantee that you are doing more than the bar in a couple weeks because now you have developed that muscle memory. We hear that all the time, but it is true. Your body has gotten accustomed to picking up that bar. And it's the same thing. I love that Gordon mentioned just practicing it, perfecting it. Even I love a goblet squat. Love it. Yo, love it. I love goblet squats. And one of the reasons was exactly what Gordon said. I will personally tell you that I don't personally do a ton of goblet squats because I'm squatting in other ways, but I love them as an exercise because what they do is they help you to stay much more upright. It's just the way the weight is in front of you. And I can tell you right now, you can do, here's another term. One thing that's great about goblet squats, you can do crazy drop sets. If you don't know what a drop set is, here is what it is. So I'll just use Gordon. Gordon, what are you doing your goblet squats with, bud?
Well, if I go to the gym, they don't go to the gym doesn't have any more than 75, but 75 to 110.
Okay, so let's just say Gordon's doing 110. First of all, most of you are not going to be able to do that, so let me throw that out there. But let's say he's doing 110. The great thing about a goblet squat is before he gets started, he can have a 110-pound dumbbell, then a 90, then a 70, then a 50. So think about it: 110, 90, 70, 50. 4 dumbbells. He does 110, man, and he is fried. Here's another thing. If he does 110, let's say he gets it for 10 reps. At the end of 10, what can he do? Well, he can't do 110, but he could probably do 90. So he gets 90 for, let's say, 5. Well, after the 5, what can he do? Well, he can't do 90, but maybe he could do 70. It is an unbelievable way to truly support your legs. That's one thing about squatting that is, it is really hard to do drop sets with a squat because it's just so taxing. I mean, I've done it. It's very taxing. So I kind of again going full circle to where we kind of started. There isn't really one best thing. Like if we could sit and talk about the best exercises for every muscle group, it is going to be what is going to be best for you.
Yeah, I think that so I will say that if you are pressed for time, no injuries, forget about that part, right? And your pressed for time compound movements are the best. You can get away. I think compound movements for like 3 years this powerlifting, and then I mean I literally built like a physique that I was proud of. I was chunky, but I was also strong, and I had the big back, I had the shoulders, I had the leg, I had all of it. And then when I moved over to bodybuilding, I added some accessory exercises, but the compound movements were always a staple. And if they don't know, people don't know what a compound movement is. Basically, it's a multi-joint exercising using more than just one muscle at one time and more than one range of motion. So it's like a single joint movement would be like a curl, a bicep curl, or a tricep extension or something along those lines, or a leg extension or a leg curl. They're single joints. Compound movements when you're using like a bench press, overhead press for shoulders, rows for back, and squat. Some type of squat or leg press would be, I would say. I would even say I would. I guess would you say glute raises are in there? Hip
Sure.
thrust, maybe that would say compound movements. So yeah, they're the compound movements. When you press for time, you can literally make a routine around that and just do those, and you'll literally see of all the results. If you're not looking to be a bodybuilder, especially if you're just looking to be like really healthy and look great, you're still going to look great no matter what, right? And I want to go back to the goblet squat thing and any type of squats. A lot of people. I want to go talk about abs real quick. This one irks me, by the way. And
Yo,
people are like,
we got 5 minutes, bud.
all right. It's a good 5 minutes. So people talk about abs and they're like, I got to do abs. Well, let's do abs. I'm not against doing abs. I think abs are great to do your abs, but you can get away with doing goblet squats. When I do goblet squats, my abs are sore. If I do a safety bar squat, that's a pretty cool one. I have one of those.
Yes.
They really work the abs. And even if you're holding yourself in a pull position and doing pull-ups, your abs are going to work. You keep your knees up to your chest if you can do pull-ups. So abs are built really in the kitchen. They're not as built in the gym like you think they are. They are good for core stability, but overall, if you're just like I have to do abs and get lean abs, it's not. You can't spot train. You can't get rid of fat in that area by doing it. I don't know why that's still a thing. It's only 2025, but I can tell people till I'm blue in the face, they still believe that they do abs and do cardio all the time.
Hey man, listen, it's a thing because that's all the BS that's out there. And I will say this about the ab thing. So I will admit that I do a decent amount of core work. So I love doing leg raises. I do something called a dragon flag. You can look it up. Most you're not going to know that, but a dragon flag, it's a very, very tough core movement. Ab wheels. But most of my abs are built around bracing. If you don't know what bracing means, like you try picking up a heavy bar and holding it and see what happens when you brace and your whole core gets tight. That's what he's talking about built in the kitchen, like deadlifting, squatting, rowing, all of those things just getting tight. They are going to help build unbelievable core muscles. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do core. I mean, if you want to do core movements, there's so many of them to do. Side planks, great for your obliques. There's so many different things. Nobody's telling you not to do them. Just understand that you doing cardio and running, yeah, you'll lose weight, but that's not going to develop your abs. Your abs are going to be developed through actually training, doing things that are working your core. And your core is not just your abs. It's all the way wrapping around your low back, your hips. That is your core. It's not just your upper abs. Like, look at my abs. It's not this, that. It's that whole part of your body. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, core is basically if you cut your arms and legs off, you're like an apple. That's a core. It goes right to your spine, from top to bottom. That's exactly right. Exactly right. The core is built through a lot of things. I do a lot of planks with my clients. Yep. I've noticed that leg raises, sometimes people I had to really perfect the technique so they don't feel in their lower backs.
Yep.
I do like a plank. I do like those type of things. And you're right. And leg raises are great because you're not putting direct pressure on the back when you're lying on your back and doing leg raises. There might be some the hinge on the hips puts pressure on the spine. So I do like a good leg raise.
So there we go, Gordon. I'm going to give you the last minute and a half. Okay. You can take as much as you want. Very quickly, everybody. So Gordon, I'll let Gordon finish. I'll do a 5-second closeout after that. Awesome podcast with him. Awesome. So much. Everybody, that was 43 minutes. Holy crap. 43 minutes.
And I'm sure we could have talked about upper body, what the best exercise for biceps are, the best exercise to build up the best form to use. I literally could talk about all that for hours. So if you have one last question that you want to ask me that for the audience that you think is an important one that you always ask away.
Yeah. So my final question would be, and this has nothing to do with the lifting. I just want you to tell me something in your life that you're most proud of.
Most proud of it's learning and regulating my emotions to be a better human being for those around me. Let me give you an example. When I was younger, my 20s, I had a daughter, 24. Right? Through those years, the beginning years, it was a rough patch. Dating her mother, and we fought like cats and dogs. Years later, I'm 50 now, right? we're talking about 26 years later, through a lot of trials, a lot of tribulation, through start my own business, through writing a book, through publicly speaking, through self-help. I had the chance and the opportunity because I've seen a lot of people pass away around me who didn't have the same opportunities I had, and I don't feel guilty for it. Although at one point I did, that they didn't get the chance to get that I have to be where I'm at now. And me and my daughter had some rough patches, and she moved out for a little bit, and recently, like probably the last year or 2 years, she moved back in, and we created a relationship with each other and continue on. And now I don't approach it with rage and anger. I approach everything with calmness. If somebody wants to argue with me, we're not arguing. Your anger is your anger. That's your gift. No, thank you. And what you think about me is none of my business.
Wow. God darn, Gordon. That is a great freaking finish. Hey, also, congratulations with you and your daughter, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you.
Everybody, obviously amazing podcast with Gordon. I'm going to have all Gordon's contact information in the description, so you'll be able to get in touch with him about anything that you need, his books, his speaking, his personal training, whatever you like. Obviously, I'll have my contact information as well. I'll talk to Gordon maybe about coming on again if you'd like to do it again. We could talk about different topics. But again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, for hearing all of the great information that we shared with you. And as always, at the end of every podcast, you are awesome.